Hey there, Assalamualaikum. This is me, Ahuna. You're seeing a time lapse that I recorded during my admission preparation time. I uploaded a video like this, like a compilation yesterday, and I got a great response. Thank you all for that. But I'm kind of nervous and anxious about making this video today because I feel like, what if I don't do a good job after yesterday's video? But I'm not gonna put too much pressure on myself. I'm just gonna go with the flow. And the topic that I want to talk about today is I just want to share some of the study techniques, tips, and things that worked out for me. But don't take them too seriously. Things that have like some study techniques work for some people while some doesn't. So yeah, don't put too much pressure onto yourself. So yeah, let's get started. The first thing that I want to say is revise. I remember the exams for which I revised the syllabus thrice or more. I scored better in those exams, whereas in comparison to exams that I didn't revise that well, I didn't do that well. So I would say revise. Speaking of exams, give as many exams as possible because giving many exams actually gives you an exposure to different kinds of questions that can come from that chapter, and it also helps you understand which sectors or which chapters or which subject you are weak at. So please give as many exams as possible and review the wrong questions that you get wrong. Mark down the wrong questions with a different color into your book so that the next time you revise your book, those questions, like those informations, like stand out to you. Also, please try not to use highlighter because by the time you are gonna revise for the third or fourth time, those highlighters are gonna feel like such a discomfort to your eyes. Rather than that, you can go ahead and use crayons or something that doesn't feel like that much of a discomfort to your eyes. Also, ask yourself, why did you get that question wrong? Is it because you didn't prepare well? Did you forget the information? Or did you rush through the question and not read the options properly? This is something that I did a lot. Don't rush. Please don't rush whilst giving the exam. This is not a race. So there are questions like which of the following is the correct, which of the following is true, which of the following is not true. So whilst rushing and not reading the question properly, you're gonna miss that is not part. And trust me, I've done this a lot. A main reason why we rush during the exam could be because we panic. You have prepared well enough for the exam. The exam is from the questions are gonna be from the same book that you have prepared from. So please don't panic. A good friend of mine, even like she used to do this a lot. Even if she didn't prepare for as long as we did, often she used to outdo us in the exams because she was extremely calm during her exams. I remember in the half yearly exam of 11th grade, I got full marks in the written test, written physics exam, alhamdulillah, but in the multiple choice questions I got 3 to 4 questions wrong, even though I knew the answers properly, just because I panicked. So please don't panic. And a huge about exams is whilst preparing for exams, I don't know why, but we have a tendency to crack the extremely hard ones. Like in every chapter, in every subject, there are questions that are harder than the other ones, and in a question paper all the questions are not that hard. So please don't skip the easier ones, because if you skip the easier ones, there's a higher chance that 9 out of 10 people will get those easy questions right, whereas for the hard questions only 2 or 1 people out of 10 people will get those questions wrong. So you understand the competition, right? You don't want to fall behind 9 people, right? So please don't do that. And speaking of not getting puzzled between the right question or like puzzled between options, I would say something like mnemonics. Like, I'll just say it straight out there. Mnemonics comes such a handy because there's a lot of information that you need to remember there, that you need to memorize, and mnemonics are the best, to be honest. There's a ton of mnemonics on every other topic on the internet, but even if you go through those mnemonics, make those your own. Let me give you an example. There's a lot of numerical information that you need to remember. What I did with those mnemonic like numerical facts, I used to when the teacher calls for the attendance, you even if you don't know all the names of your classmates, you associate his or her face to that number. I remember there was this question of the moderate temperature in which fish's reproduction is good. The temperature was 24 to 28 degrees Celsius, which are the 2 class rolls of 2 of my best friends. So I associated their face with that number, and it helps a great deal because in the long run, go wild with your mnemonics, because mnemonics help such a huge deal. And speaking of the competition that I spoke earlier, don't compare yourself too much with others. Even though I spoke of competition, please don't compare yourself too much, because if you end up comparing yourself with everyone out there, you will end up wasting so much time, and it just mentally exhausts you. So please don't compare yourself to almost all your peers. And I'm not telling you to change your friends overnight, but if you have any toxic friend for the while, please stay put to that friendship equation, because toxic friendship is such a huge drawback whilst you're preparing for exams or even in your day-to-day life. Speaking of wasting time, I want to point out two things. One, taking notes, and the second thing is scrolling through social media, be it Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or whatever social media that you are on. I was a huge note junkie. I used to love making notes. Not that my notes were the prettiest, as pretty as to preserve in the museum or something, but I did waste my fair share of time in making notes. But towards the end, I used to make notes only when necessary and make concise and to the point note. I would say make your main book the best note that you can. Add in the questions that you get wrong, the extra information, staple in some extra paper, use sticky notes, and it doesn't need to be perfect, make it to your own. And please don't push yourself too hard on it, being the perfectionist, or just go wild with your book, make it your own. And the second thing that I talked about is these days, whenever we feel low, we just immediately reach for our phone and scroll through the Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media that you're on, and in no time you are wasting more than 30 minutes instead of 5 minutes. So if you think that deleting those apps help you, please go ahead and delete those. I used to study with my friends, so that helped a lot. And the second thing that I did was I opened an Instagram account only for my study purpose, where I used to update daily on the exams that I gave, the questions that I got wrong, and why is the reason that I got those questions wrong, and it helped me a great deal. I'll leave a link to that Instagram handle down in the description box below. And okay, there's something else that I want to talk about. Don't push yourself too hard, because sometimes we get so occupied with the fact that how long have I studied. This is a very common question that I used to ask almost everyone. How many hours did you do study? And I was so fascinated with the fact I used to study as long as possible. And sometimes even if I felt really good when I had a good study day, and I studied as long as possible. But even though it seems plausible at the moment, in the long run you're gonna face a burnout, and it's extremely hard to pass those burnouts, because it brings me to another point is whatever stuff that you've studied that day, at the end of the day, please keep a record of that, because there will be days I have faced that it myself, that at the end of the day, even though I studied almost the whole day and gave multiple exams, at the end of the day I often felt what have I done that whole day, what the heck have I done? And it sucks. It feels like when that feeling is, it feels like drowning myself in a bucket of teardrops, if that is even a metaphor to use. Amma was such a shelter for me in those times. Throughout my admission preparation, she was my best lifeline that I could have had. I would just go to her and rant, and thanks to her I could hold out the pressure of the whole study situation, because there'll be days when even though you try, your study situation won't be the best. So please don't go too hard on yourself on days like that, because you're gonna have your bad study days, your good study days, but the main key goal is to just keep being consistent. And inshallah it will all work out, because you're putting in all that you can, and inshallah it will all work out. I feel like this video is getting quite lengthy and quite preachy. That's something I really don't want to do, because at the end of the day, it's you who's gonna go through the path. It's you who's gonna prepare for exams and attend the exams. So please don't go too hard on yourself. And if you're feeling like there's a ton of assignments and things that you want to do, just start, because oftentimes the assignment itself is not as hard as you thought in your head. And bye, thanks for listening to me for so long.